Part 6. Whispers from the Dark. A Nightmare in the Haunted House. The demon roared, its voice like nails scraping against the walls, sending chills down their spines. It lunged at them with supernatural speed, its long, sharp claws aimed directly at Nick. Ash managed to push Nick aside just in time, but in doing so, he became the target. The demon's claws tore through his flesh, leaving deep wounds that bled profusely. "No, Ash!" Nick screamed, his eyes filled with fear and anguish. Ash gritted his teeth, his hands trembling, but his gaze remained resolute. "Nick, keep going with the ritual. We can't stop now." Nick clutched the leather-bound book, struggling to focus on reciting the next incantation, despite Ash's screams and the demon's roars that made him quiver. The demon, sensing their resistance, grew even more furious. It attacked Ash more viciously, ripping through his clothes and skin, blood splattering everywhere. Ash collapsed, racked with pain, but his eyes still burned with defiance. He knew that if Nick stopped, everything would be in vain. "Nick, keep going. Don't let it distract you," Ash shouted, his voice filled with determination. Nick continued reading, his voice echoing in the frigid air. The light from the ritual circle flared brighter, a surge of energy fighting against the darkness. The demon howled in fury, but it began to falter, sensing the ritual's power was weakening it. Despite his grievous injuries, Ash struggled to his feet. He staggered toward Nick, his eyes glowing with a faint hope. "We can do this, Nick," he whispered, gripping Nick's hand tightly. The demon, in its rage and pain, launched a final ferocious assault. "Now, Nick!" Ash screamed, his voice ringing out in the gloom. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the entire house. A blinding light erupted from the ritual circle, illuminating the space. The ghosts wailed in agony, vanishing into thin air. The light from the ritual circle seemed to possess a magical force, pushing back the darkness and the unseen entities. But just as they thought it was over, a raspy, sinister laugh echoed from the shadows. "Do you think you can break the curse?" A menacing voice growled, and a dark entity materialized before them. Its glowing red eyes and maniacal grin froze them in terror. "We're not afraid of you," Ash shouted, though his heart pounded with fear. "We will free the souls and break this curse." The dark entity laughed, its laughter cutting through their minds like blades. "You don't realize this house is a part of me. I am the curse, and I will never let you escape." In a last desperate effort, Nick gripped the old leather book tightly and resumed reading the final incantations. The light from the ritual circle flared up again, brighter and stronger than ever. The demon, sensing the threat from the incantations, became even more enraged. It let out a deafening roar that seemed to tear through the very fabric of reality. With a powerful lunge, it attacked Nick with all its supernatural strength, its sharp claws striking with lethal intent. Nick was flung across the room, the leather book slipping from his grasp, tumbling onto the floor. Nick groaned in pain, blood oozing from his wounds. His vision blurred, but he knew that if he didn't complete the ritual, everything would be lost. With the last remnants of his consciousness, Nick forced himself to sit up, his trembling hands gripping the book. "I can't stop. I can't give up," he whispered, his voice weak but filled with resolve. The demon advanced, its red eyes glowing and its grin twisted with malevolence. It knew this was its final chance to stop the ritual. With its sharp claws, it prepared to end Nick's life. But Nick, in his agony, summoned all his remaining strength to chant the final incantations. His voice echoed, each word piercing through the darkness like an arrow. The demon roared in fury, its voice shaking the entire house. But the light from the ritual circle grew stronger, forcing back the darkness and the dark entity. Blinding beams of light shot out from the circle, piercing through the demon's body, causing it to scream in pain. The dark entity screamed in agony, its glowing red eyes dimming. "No, this cannot be," it howled, each word torn from its mouth. "You will pay the price. No, you cannot break this curse," the demon roared, both furious and terrified. With a last incantation, a blinding explosion of light erupted, shaking the entire house violently. The demon roared in rage as its body disintegrated into thousands of sparkling fragments. The fragments vanished into the air, and the darkness was completely driven away. The light from the ritual circle dimmed and silence fell over the house. Nick collapsed to the floor, his breath shallow, but his eyes filled with a sense of fulfillment. He knew they had accomplished the impossible, breaking the curse and freeing the trapped souls. "We did it, Nick. We freed them all," Ash whispered, his voice breaking with a mixture of joy and pain. As the light from the ritual faded, the eerie silence of the wooden house returned. Ash, severely injured and exhausted, dragged himself over to Nick. He knelt down, his trembling hand touching Nick's shoulder, but Nick's body showed no signs of life. Nick had sacrificed himself to break the curse, to bring freedom to the imprisoned souls. Ash felt a deep, wrenching pain, but there was no time to mourn. The wooden house began to shake violently, pieces of wood falling from the ceiling, signaling its impending collapse. He had to leave immediately if he wanted to survive. With his last bit of strength, Ash stood up, his eyes taking one final look around, feeling the profound loss of his close friends. He stumbled out of the collapsing house, his steps unsteady but determined. As he emerged outside, the first rays of dawn began to break through the trees, casting a peaceful light that starkly contrasted the horror they had just endured.